Welcome back, and this story has been incredible. It's not just the loss of one child, but 3 children at the same time at 19 weeks. These are children you can see, and you know, whenever you're dealing with grief and taking each stage, sometimes we do not know and we do not understand what is going on with us, and hence our wonderful expert, our counseling psychologist, and Chebere Morioki, the Kikuyu in me, has been exposed. And he's going to walk us through the stages of grief, especially after the loss of young ones in miscarriage.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes. And once again, I'm glad yet honored to be with you here today. Like Isha said, my name is Chebere, a counseling psychologist. Yes, there are 5 stages of grief. But even before I look at grief, it is imperative for us to realize the importance of closure.
Okay.
Closure, and especially closure for small children or loss of pregnancy, has been taken for granted a lot in our cultures and in our country, and more so from our traditions.
Very true.
Most of the time, before I look at the steps, most of the time, when a mother, a lady, or a woman loses a pregnancy, which is sometimes less than 20 weeks, they are left in the mortuary.
Yes.
And the lady walks home empty-handed.
Right.
They forget to realize that when she left, she was expecting, she not only physically, but emotionally and psychologically, the society was waiting for something tangible
to be seen.
And she has walked back empty. The worst is when a mother comes home and there were other children, and here they are, Mommy, Toto, and the mother doesn't have the language, does not have the words, neither she doesn't have energy or courage to tell the children where the Toto is. Don't forget that this is death. In Africa, in our culture, in our traditions, death is not an easy topic to be discussed.
Not at all.
So we always say, Amenda kwa Mungu, they will come back, and all manner of ways to avoid the word, the person is dead. That's why in English we say they've passed away. To where?
Where are they gone? They're deceased.
They are deceased. And this denies closure at the highest level. And we have continually, and allow me to bash you a bit, you press people, tell us this person is deceased. Which denies us mentally, because our brain works with reality. When you say they are deceased, they have passed away, they have rested. Anyone who takes a rest wakes up.
Them to get up.
Because you've rested. You were tired, you were unwell, and therefore, once the tiredness is gone, you will wake up. So it is a wrong word that actually you use. It is important for you people to say, so and so died. However difficult, painful, and traumatic it will be, you actually do not help the grieving. Now, having said that, and because your question was very clear, now note the mother has gone back home empty, facing the children, facing the community, and facing the family. I want to say, I hope that mother who goes back, they are in terms with the mother-in-law. And I'm not going there because that's another story for another day. So because if they are not, your guess is as good as mine.
I hear you.
So now let us look at the 5 stages of grief. The first stage and the most difficult one is denial. Denying that it has not happened. not coming into terms with the loss.
Yes.
And most of the time, people never move from this stage. They remain at the denial point.
Right.
Why? Because they don't want to imagine it happened.
It's true.
And remember, the mother has created an attachment, has created a bond, has created a relationship.
Yes.
How does this relationship occur? When a child is kicking, it's a clear sign to the mother.
There's a life.
I am having a life.
Yes.
And when it kicks, the mother is guaranteed, after 9 months, I will smile.
Yes.
And remember,
Yes.
this mother was once upon a time a girl. So she has seen other women going through the process and coming out with a band of joy.
Bundles of joy.
True. Now, remember the language.
Yes.
Bundles?
Bundles of joy.
So what does that tell you? If you don't have that band of joy, you are cursed.
It's true.
You are a bad man.
You're not worth it.
You're not worth. You come from the wrong clan. You don't marry with this community.
Yes.
And
Yes.
instead of the mother going into the grieving journey,
Right.
they go to answer other questions that are not necessary.
It's true.
Because what is the relationship with my clan?
Yes. What does it have to do with making a whole child?
Exactly.
Yes.
Remember, I am because you are. That's African.
Very true.
So, my mother did it. So and so did. How come I didn't?
Yes.
Now, the denial stage is the most painful. And most of the time, the mothers who have lost pregnancies are alone.
Very true.
Okay, I am not being harsh to the men.
Yes.
Remember, African, we are taught never to cry. And I may even ask all of both of you.
Yeah.
If you have children, you remind them, wanaume hawaliangi.
Yeah. Actually, we are mothers of boys, so we have 4 boys, between us.
So how many times have you created the wrong perspective to your sons? Yet every human being has got the same emotions.
Yes.
And God created all of us to have tears.
Absolutely.
They are supposed to be used.
Exactly.
And by the way, tears are medicinal.
It's true. They heal the heart.
Yeah, exactly. When a woman cries, they heal their brain.
It's
and
true.
the moment the right hormones, the right chemicals, and the right neurotransmission occurs, then there is instant healing. No wonder when you cry, you feel relief.
Better, it's true.
And the pain goes
Even
away.
Take a nap and wake up feeling better.
Why do men kill? Why do men come aggressive? Because the pain has not been dealt with.
Yes. And they were not taught by anyone.
And you have even confirmed you're not teaching your sons, and both of you are mothers of sons.
Yes. And sometimes when they cry, they don't cry for the right reasons. Like in her case, it was more just for attention. You can tell this is a small boy who was not taken care of. He was told, no, you don't cry. No, you cannot express yourself. And now he will cry to divert his real feelings. And they end up hurting the other person, like in her case.
He should have cried with me, but instead he went to cry in a bar about my miscarriage and blame me for it.
Absolutely.
But what I agree with you is the part you say that there's that aspect of society which doesn't allow men to express their heart and their pain. And even as a mother, I'm consciously aware of that fact, and I'm trying to parent very differently. Let them feel what they need to feel.
I'm happy that you're parenting differently. Remember, parenting is the only thing that we go in without any certification.
True.
So now this journey of denial can take the longest, and if one is not careful, if one is not assisted, if one does not have support, one may never leave it. And I have met enough people who are in complicated grief.
Very true.
Because within 2 years, 3 years, one should come out of grief. But you find someone who has been grieving for the last 10, 15 years.
Yes.
And any time they go to any other barrier, They even cry more than they breathed. Because they're not crying about the person who is dead.
It's true.
They're crying their grief.
It's true. And I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, whenever you deny yourself that chance, it doesn't get any better or lighter. I feel like it digs deeper and deeper, hence that statement whereby this person ends up even mourning harder than this person after many years.
Absolutely.
So I think the point I'm taking is face it, deal with it. It doesn't matter how long you take, but just do it. Because if you bury it, somehow you have to deal with it up ahead. Yes, could you walk us through the other stages?
So the next stage becomes the bargaining.
Bargaining.
No, not bargaining, sorry, the anger stage.
Anger, yes.
Now, the anger stage, this is the stage where now one is supposed to be supported so that they can accept it has happened. To cry. And they are allowed to express their deep emotions without being reminded, wacha kulia, hii ni kawaida, God takes. I come from a belief where, but God gives, but it's not God who takes. Because even science doesn't tell us why one loses a pregnancy. The anger stage is a very, very important stage whereby a person is supposed to be allowed to do it the best way they know how, to let out the bottled pain. Now, most of the time, we do not or allow people to do it, so they hold it. The third stage is the bargaining stage. Now, this stage, if someone ever reaches here, they are closer to healing. Why? Because now you're asking questions. God, you know, thank you. God, you know, you give me another one. Now, the bargain stage is where someone has already dealt with the denial and the pain and the anger. Now, they can reason a little bit with the situation. They are almost accepting the situation and they are not accepting the situation. Some don't leave this stage. Why? Because they turn and blame themselves. When you get here, if you turn to the line of blaming yourself, getting guilty, considering you are the problem, then that's it. Why some people get here, it's when you don't have the right support. Look at someone or people who like I keep saying, pregnancy is a business of two people. When it's a business of two people and one of them decides to run away, it becomes very difficult for the other person. Now, if by chance the other person who is left alone does not have stamina to look at the problem and stand up, or they don't have the right support, then these people may never leave this point again. That's why you people saying men are like this, calling names. Others decide, I will never be married forevermore. I will never ever have children again. Others decide, I hate all this. It is because they were never able to bargain and bargain in the right manner. Exactly. So this is a very crucial stage. If you do it right, then the fourth stage, which is the depression stage, you navigate it well. If you do it the right way. Now, you're depressed. You feel powerless, hopeless, weak, helpless. Now, hopeless and helplessness are very dangerous. If, again, you are alone. Now, if you are alone and you're doing it in the wrong way, you are blamed that you've called yourself name, then you withdraw from people. If you're not careful, it turns into a psychotic problem. And it becomes very difficult to treat because remember, all mental disorders are chemical imbalances. So now, if doctors have to manage you, or psychiatrists have to manage you now with the drugs, this is for the negative one. Because remember, we have to go through this process, the 5 stages of grief and loss. So, if you are the right support, you have denied, you've got into anger, you've bargained, now you are in a depression state, there is hope. So one day you feel you don't want to see people, you want to stay indoors, but because you have the right support, because you have the right company, you are allowed to be. Yeah. And then tomorrow, you have some life. And the depression state becomes a little bit easier. Caution here, we don't mourn the same, we don't suffer the same kind of environment, and it is important for those who are working with us, especially people around us, to be very careful. Yes. And the final stage now becomes acceptance. Again, there is a negative acceptance and a positive acceptance. Don't forget, at this stage, it's a very difficult stage. Why? You are coming to accept they are no more. I will never see them again. I have hopes for these children. I have expectation, on and on and on. It is a stage that has to be taken care of. Because if one is not careful, then we do not negotiate. We remain still in the grief and continue. Of course, the negative ones is whereby you don't have support and you don't have all these other things. And you've had people who lost their children 30, 40 years ago, and they talk as if those children are living today. Why? It's because they did not have a journey and they did not have a closure. Now I go back to what I started with. It is important for us to appreciate and help the ladies who lose pregnancies to start their journey, and more so the African way. If today I died, my family will take me from mortuary, people come and grieve with my family, people come and console them, help them, walk with them until I am buried. Now, that is the final part, which is the most difficult, where everyone must be allowed to participate into the closing of the old chapter. That it's over, I will never be. If it's my children, they will accept. Dad is died there. The same should be done to mothers, whether the pregnancy was for 2 weeks, whether it was for 2 months, 20, whatever it is, so that they can start from a societal point of view to close this journey. And people to come and appreciate that they have lost not just nothing, a human being, somebody whom they could have called this way, whom they could, and on and on and on. And in short, that's the journey. And it is a difficult one. And if it is not taken care of, it brings other psychosomatic problems. I mean, problems that are generated from our minds. And those are the most difficult to treat. Yes, exactly. Yeah,
could you give us your final remarks to anyone who is watching the show today? You know, a statement of encouragement from your own experience.
Okay, I'm happy to hear from the psychologist, especially since I also had to go for therapy. So I can relate to whatever he's saying at a step-by-step, in a step-by-step process. And when I was writing my journal, I was writing as I was going through all those issues. What I can say is that there's always light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to go through the tunnel. Yes. You can either decide to stay on that side or stay on that other side, but you have to go through that tunnel. Yes. If you don't go through that tunnel, you won't see the light on the other side. You'll remain at any one of these stages he's talking about.
That's a very good way to put it, yes.
And secondly, people in society need to, you know, we've become such a dehumanized society and highly desensitized. And you find that a lot of people victimize grief. True. One, because they don't know, they don't have empathy, and two, because they are suffering from their own grief, so they are projecting. So you can see a woman tell a fellow woman, forget about them, God will give you another one. Even us, we've lost, or they tell you those were not real kids. Wait, we should complain when you have real kids. Society also needs to learn empathy. People need to learn how to be have more empathy, because people victimize grief, and as a result, other people are forced to suppress how they are feeling. And this cuts across all types of grief. Even when you're violated and such things, people are in a hurry for you to move on and not go through your grief, because going through your grief makes them uncomfortable.
True.
So those are the only two things I can say. And therapy is important.
It's important.
If you can find it, if you're able to afford it, get therapy. Because even doctors, you hear them say they need other doctors. Even shrinks need other shrinks.
It's true.
But in Africa, they treat therapy like something for weak people. Mental disorders are for white people. Or for people who are cast by the ancestors and such stuff, or for the rich, you know, like they say, rich people problems. I believe that if people pay more attention to mental health as much as they pay attention to, let's say, societal status, people would live more holistic lives, you know. And so nobody should be ashamed for going to therapy or for owning whatever ailment they are going through. And at the same time, people should stop victimizing people who are owning their grief or their pain or their trauma or their mental situations.
That's very powerful, Sharon. And your final remarks, please?
I will add by saying that grief is real. And the person grieving should never shy away to seek help. And when we seek help, we are catering on ourselves. One of the greatest problems that we are having is that we want to put grief at a tradition, social level. Grief is individual. We grieve differently. We mourn differently. And pain is very personal. My pain is totally different from your pain. So it is time for people to know how to say, I am hurting.
I'm not okay.
I'm not okay. And I need help. And people should, and I want to congratulate her for saying therapy works. I want to add one word. Talk therapy works. There's a major difference between other therapies, but talk therapy works because it gives the grieving individual an opportunity to pour out that which was hurried. Now remember, our society works collectively.
It's true.
Which is wrong. It is not all of us who have lost. It is not all of us who are mourning. It is I. And the moment I am allowed to express myself, the moment I am taken to an expert who walks me with the journey, then they will be able to hear. Because we are trained to hear what we are never told. And that is when we can be able to assist. But I can say, as she has said, therapy works and works wonders. So let people embrace therapy and let our communities allow people to mourn because it is I who is mourning. My last word, if it is my child who has gone, the auntie can never feel the same pain the father.
Even your partner.
Even the mother may not feel because we might have had a different relationship.
Very true.
So even this pregnancy we are talking, it's not like the other one. So people should be allowed to mourn in their own terms. And then healing will be holistic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for, indulging us, spending your time with us. We've learned so much. Even as I am the presenter of this show, it's more or less like a learning process for myself as well. Having experienced some of these things, especially depression, I've come to have special appreciation of therapy because we all say everybody needs a bit of therapy. And MC Sharon, thank you so much for coming on board as well. Mr. Murioki, our expert of the day. Thank you very much for your wisdom as always. Yes, so again, guys, all I'm hearing is let a person experience and go through that process of grief. And we've learned all the 5 stages: denial, anger, negotiation, or, trying to, bargain. Then there is the depression, which is always the end of the tunnel. And they say the light is at the end of the tunnel. And finally, acceptance. But this will only work in an environment that you create. Let's be a compassionate society. Let's be an empathic society. Let us not bury our heads and say these matters of mental health are just for, people who are rich, or the mzungu, or however we like to put it. It's a real thing. It can happen to everyone, and it will happen to everyone. And if you can handle it in the proper manner, we'll become a holistic, well-healing nation, and we'll break the cycle of bitter, psychologically disturbed people who are walking all over the place. Remember, everybody needs a little therapy. Thank you for watching tonight. If you have any contribution or incredible story about parenthood that you'd like to share, you can reach us on our social media pages at Y254 TV social media pages, or you can reach out to me directly, Maureen Waititu on Instagram, Maureen Waititu on Facebook as well. And we'll be happy to indulge you as you give your story and as we continue talking about these matters, parenthood, and the issues that come with it. Good night and see you next week, same time, same place.